Welcome to the 2022 Northeast Indiana Manufacturing Awards, brought to you by KPC Media and the Regional Chamber of Northeast Indiana. I'm Lisa Escobar-Long, editor of KPC Media's Greater Fort Wayne Business Weekly and KPC's managing editor for our Whitley and Allen County newspapers. We had to take a year off, thanks to COVID, after our inaugural event to reward the best manufacturers in the region. But we're back, and this year we're presenting you with videos about our semifinalists and winners to highlight their businesses. Northeast Indiana's diverse manufacturing economy supplies the country with products from medical devices to defense electronics, pickups, musical instruments, recreational vehicles, and aerospace and aftermarket and OEM vehicle components. We'll be honoring companies in the areas of Northeast Indiana Manufacturer of the Year, Indiana-owned Manufacturer of the Year, Internationally owned Manufacturer of the Year, Small Manufacturer, Best Manufacturing Workplace, Workplace Diversity, and Green Manufacturer of the Year. And we'll be highlighting one Corporate Citizen of the Year. Be sure to check out our special section on the semifinalists and recipients that will be on fwbusiness.com. In addition, we'll have a special video interview with a representative of our Manufacturer of the Year recipient that you'll be able to view on Business Weekly's website and KPC's numerous other newspaper sites. This year's keynote speaker is Chris Tuff, aka the Millennial Whisperer, and also author of Savior Asks. Chris is here live to discuss how to engage your millennial and Gen Z workforce and improve your networking skills through genuine connections and answer your questions. I'll tell you more about Chris later in my introduction of him. But first, I'd like to introduce Bill Kanya, President and CEO of the Regional Chamber of Northeast Indiana. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate being here. I want to join you in welcoming everyone to this enterprise. I'd like to point out that we're especially happy to be associated with Manufacturers Breakfast. Manufacturers is incredibly important to Northeast Indiana. I don't know, most people aren't aware of that. Indiana is the third most manufacturing intensive state in the country, and the 11 counties that constitute Northeast Indiana are the most manufacturing intensive region of the state of Indiana. The Regional Chamber is not a chamber of commerce. We are lobbyists, pure and simple. When we advocate, we are the voice of private sector businesses in Northeast Indiana, and our membership includes manufacturing, banking and financial services, healthcare, development, construction, real estate, agribusiness, insurance, post-secondary education, employment training, community and economic development. We have 16 local chambers of commerce, 11 economic development corporations, and we support all of the chamber's local efforts by providing sustained advocacy, which is something they can't do. The Regional Chamber of Northeast Indiana promotes an environment in which individuals, businesses, and communities can thrive in a global economy. We do this by advocating with the Indiana legislature for our policy priorities, which consists of 21st century talent. And we advance policies that improve education, improve employer access to a qualified workforce, and promote lifelong learning. Competitive business climate. We focus on supporting tax, environmental, and economic development activities that advance the regional economy. Rural investment and reinvestment. We encourage and support policies that support agribusiness and technology. And we do that primarily because agriculture is almost as important to the region and to the state as manufacturing is. And then we also support world-class infrastructure. We encourage creatively financed, sustainable, future-ready infrastructure connecting Northeast Indiana to the world. Examples of that are the expansion or extension of the Lafayette Center Road, which was a $34 million activity. US 30, converting it from a free-flowing highway to a freeway from the Ohio line to Valpo. Happy to report that we are now in a position with that project where we will begin construction in 2023. Hopefully the first 3 intersections will be done by 2027, at which point they will complete the PEL studies and environmental impact studies. It's going to take a while to get the rest of the road done, but it will ultimately and eventually be done. In the past 4 years, the regional chamber has had about 35 wins in the legislature. And some of those wins are stopping bad legislation. One of those wins was actually getting the governor to veto a piece of bad legislation and then getting the legislature to uphold the veto. We focused on things like workforce attainable housing because housing is a critical issue in Northeast Indiana and the entire state. Development of rural broadband. There's a reason that the state is now investing so much money in broadband, and we plan for them to continue that process. It's basically because of our advocacy. US Route 30, we are now focusing on we're focusing on early childhood care and early childhood education as workforce development issues. We hope to be able to expand our workforce by providing quality health care, by making it possible for people to afford quality health care. We've created a regional strategic development commission to plan the the economic development of Northeast Indiana, and many more issues. Our governance, it comes through a 21-person board. We elect 7 board members each year for 3-year terms. We do not have term limits, and our board is very diverse, featuring post-secondary education, manufacturing, and all the other industry sectors that I talked about earlier. Our executive committee includes myself as the president and CEO, a chairman of the board, the vice chairman, the past chairman, the secretary, and the treasurer. And then we have 4 additional committees, and those are policy committees related to our policy priorities. The way we work, our subcommittees develop an idea of regulatory or statutory issues that need attention. We submit those ideas to our policy committee. Our policy committee, after vetting them and approving them, we pass them on to the board of directors, who has the final say, and that's how our legislative agenda is constructed each year. We encourage each person attending today to consider reaching out to us at www.neinadvocates.com, or you can email me directly at bill at Northeast Indiana, neinadvocates.com. We need to have as many voices at our table as we can possibly have, because I assure you that the government in this state listens to business. I'm really happy to be here, really grateful for the opportunity. And Lisa, with that, I'm happy to turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Bill. Now let's hear from Chris Tuff. Chris is a partner of the advertising firm 22 Squared based in Atlanta, where he's helped them grow into a 400+ digital powerhouse with 90% millennials and Gen Zers. Chris has sold over 100,000 copies of his national best-selling book, The Millennial Whisperer. Chris shares lessons on empathy and genuine connection at work on some of the largest stages of the world, including Fortune 100 companies such as Nike. Chris's foundation is Authentic Connection, which inspired him to recently complete his new book, Savior Asks, which just launched in March 2022. It already is topping the Amazon charts. When Chris is not inspiring or connecting, he is either hanging out with his 2 daughters and wife at their home in Atlanta, kiteboarding, or mountain biking. So thank you, Chris, for being here today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I'm super excited to share this with you all. So without further ado, we will jump right in here. And my whole foundation is based on filling this connection void out there. And what happened during the pandemic was, I feel, as we come out of it, that there is a lot of things changed. And what happened with me is I published The Millennial Whisperer 3 years ago, and it was 5 years ago I had hit my own rock bottom, and that manifested in a variety of ways. But what really changed was this move towards doubling down in my wife and my two daughters and spending more time with them, but then really taking a lot of my energy and putting it into my 400 employees at my advertising firm where I'm a partner. And it was hard, right? I mean, and it was not a fun ride during that time, but it was about 7 months later, I found myself around a fire, and it was 14 executives, kind of the who's who in Atlanta. And I went to introduce myself, and I didn't know how to introduce myself because I had really gone, my whole career was built on digital media and social media. And I was like, well, how do I introduce myself? Well, what just kind of popped out of my mouth was, hey, everyone, I'm kind of like the Millennial Whisperer, and here's my story. And I shared my story. And then I went, after sharing my story and getting super vulnerable, sat down by the fire, and these other executives were like, so Chris, tell me some of the things you do with the next generations. Like, they'd come in late. They're always asking for promotions. It was all these negatives. And I started to share some of my stories. And they were like, Chris, you got to write that book. And I said, what book? They go, The Millennial Whisperer. And so I wrote it in actually about 4.5 months, brought it to market. And what was interesting is it all of a sudden took off. And right as it was gaining tons of traction, I was on the big stage at Nike. I'd sold, tens of thousands of copies. And then the pandemic hit. And I asked myself, well, what's going to happen now? Like, what now? What is this going to do with a lot of those things that I was bringing up in the book around how important it is for leadership to take a genuine connection in all of their team members? And the pandemic just catalyzed everything. And what's interesting is now the book's gone on to sell over 100,000 copies. And with the Great Resignation, we've got at least 40% of people that are looking for new jobs. Every month, it doesn't matter the month. Every month, it's 3% of the workforce is quitting. And that's 4.5 million workers. Every single, whether you're a manufacturer out there, you're a small business, or you're the Nikes of the world, everyone, this is their greatest pain point. And you look at some of these headlines, we see it every single day, whether it be the Wall Street Journal or your local newspapers. It's all about what is happening out there with the Great Resignation. And I think one of the pieces that I want to bring out there is that there are some social variables that have made us the way we are. And my first example of this is what I call the Pinterestation of a generation. And this isn't just secluded to generations. This is happening across the board. And we see it every single August or September, right? Where we go into our news feeds and we see lots of posts like this of Abigail. It's her first day of kindergarten. It's this perfect post. She's smiling. And let's dissect this a little bit. What it took for Abigail's mom or dad to take this picture, they had to spend like $30 on an Etsy thing. It took 30 different photos of trying to capture that moment. Poor Abigail is miserable. And then they post this perfect picture to the internet for their friends and family to see. And what it does is what I tell my team at every single turn is it's this idea that we got to stop comparing our insides to other people's outsides. And I will say to my team members, like, listen, I've been there, right? I've posted those perfect stories and those perfect pictures of my family, whereas in reality, it was pretty miserable during that time. And I say, I also have done it, right? And I tell them my somewhat embarrassing story of how I was in Sun Valley, Idaho for a wedding. And it was out there that I hired a fishing guide. And this was about 7 years ago. And as I hired the fishing guide, I said, listen, guy, like I hate fishing. I don't even care about fishing, but I want 2 Instagram posts. I want me like holding the trout with the net in the background. And then I don't know if you've ever seen Brad Pitt, but I want one of me like Brad Pitting it in the river with me going back and forth, and that's it. And this river guide looks at me disgusted and he goes, you're going to spend $600 on an Instagram post? I said, no, that's 2 posts, 300 each. Let's go. And I say that because what we post out there, what we expect is the reality is not. And it doesn't matter whether you're millennial, Gen Z, or an Xer or boomer, we're all seeing this play out in our lives. And so on the first week of everyone's job, when they come onto my team, I introduce them to my 70-30 rule, which is that 30% of your job is just going to suck. 70% of your job should fire you up and fuel you up, but 30% is going to suck. So take your job description and figure out what's in your zone of like absolute strengths, and then what's in your zone of dread. And what happens is it allows you to not just seek this grass is always greener on the other side. And as of this week, what we're starting to see in the data is that 4% of those that have quit jobs in the last year and a half during this great quit or resignation are actually boomeranging back. And one of my favorite quotes of a response of a friend of mine after they first read the Millennial Whisperer was, millennials aren't the problem. They just expose a lot of the problems. And so here are my 5 things that every organization needs to be thinking about within their business to have the greatest impact on not only this retention and attraction problem, but also how to take it to the next level. And number 1 is work flexibility. And if you look at the data, once again, Deloitte Millennial Gen Z survey, they back it up, right? Number 1 is flexibility and adaptability. And if you actually segment this by generation, this was a surprise to me because boomers during the pandemic, as they were finally working from home, they were away from their desks. This was their first taste of freedom. They're hanging out with their grandkids and they're like, I kind of like this. And so as we come back to the office, their sentiment is actually somewhat neutral. They're like, I could go kind of either way. This is pretty good. Xers are like, listen, we got to get back. We've lost that person to person, right? With that interpersonal connection is gone and we have got to go back to the office. And so Xers are most supportive about getting back to the office right away. Whereas millennials and Gen Zers, they're like, don't you ever take this freedom away from me. And if you do, I will leave. And these are digital natives that already know how to be efficient with Zoom and their cell phones, etc. And they're most opposed of going back to the office. And where we look at work flexibility, it's a huge difference between kind of white collared or what I would call the Zoom class, those that during the pandemic were on Zoom the whole time, and hourly workers, manufacturers, dentists. And so I love to highlight this company, and in bigger audiences, I'll actually have people guess the company in California that when they have a 99% retention. And after your 1 year on the job, they can make their own job description with the caveat that they just have to sell in that job description to everyone else on their team. And I'll say, okay, guess the company that does that. And they're like, Google, Facebook, or, one of these tech companies. And it's actually Morningstar Tomato Farms. And within their manufacturing plant where they put together this tomato paste, they have a 99% retention. And as you look at work flexibility, it's more than just working from where you want to work. It's also incorporating a little bit more of this empowerment to creating more of a choose your own adventure within your organization. And when the Wall Street Journal says headlines, flexible work is here to stay, but companies that resist it may not be, it's something to pay attention to. Number 2, creating genuine connection. And this was actually released in Inc. About 3 weeks ago, and 3 in 5 employees would consider quitting because of this reason, research says. And that one reason is connection with their bosses and leadership. And one of the pieces that makes millennials and Gen Zers different is the way they were parented. Because I'm 41 years old, so but I had British parents. And so I was raised much more like an Xer or a boomer in that at the dinner table, my interaction with my parents was like, Chris, what are you doing right now? Where are you going? How are your grades? It was very authoritarian. You juxtapose that to especially millennials 36 down to 24-year-olds in the Gen Z side, and their relationship at the table is like, oh, what's going on? Who'd you hook up with this past weekend? Like, what are you doing next week? And it's much more of like this camaraderie and connection with an open discord between them. And what's interesting is as these younger generations come into our organization, what they're expecting from you as that boss is the same thing that they see their parents as. And so it's this move from this just the authoritarian figure to also you becoming more of that coach and mentor for them. And so within leadership, it's imperative that we start shifting our ability to not just lead, but also to be that mentor and coach. And more than ever anything, take a vested interest in their own personal and real lives and take down and create a little bit more of that interpersonal connection. The number one trait that millennials and Gen Zers are looking for from leadership is inspirational leadership. What's interesting about inspirational leadership is that a lot of leaders are not inspirational. And I did some work with Tony Robbins and his team. He introduced me to one of the biggest culprits in the lack of inspirational leadership. And that's what he calls LAE, low ass energy. And if you're coming into a room for your all hands meeting and you have LAE, we got to switch that around. I've had a couple of friends of mine that are big introverts, like the opposite of me, right? Introverted, a little bit shy. And I suggested them use music, right? To get people going. And there was a guy that had a dental practice just outside of Charlotte. And he was brainstorming with me of ideas of how to bring HAE, high ass energy. And he came up with the idea of playing Shaka Khan's Tell Me Something Good every Monday morning at 7:00 to bring everyone into the group huddle. And what happens is everyone ends up sharing something good and it creates this HAE. So LAE is super important. The second most important trait young people are looking for from you as leadership is autonomy. And autonomy is oftentimes misinterpreted. And my favorite interpretation of autonomy is protect this house, which comes from an Under Armour commercial where it's a rah-rah and it's the team saying it's up to them to protect this house. And so a guy named Ben Kirshner, who was dubbed #1 boss for millennials and Gen Zers by Forbes magazine, explained this to me that he says that on his team, first you got to ask yourself, do you have a house worth protecting? And that's culture. Once you have a house worth protecting, you have to use every single interaction to push down on your people to protect this house. So he said to me, I just gave everyone unlimited paid vacation. Before, they'd have to come to me and I'd have to say, Sally's going to cover for Ken when he's gone. And when Ken comes back, I said, no, it's up to you all to protect this house. When you have a bad culture fit on your team, it's not up to me as the boss to spit that person out. It's up to you all to spit that person out and protect this house. So he says, remind your team to protect this house at every single turn. Transparency is the number 3 most important trait that millennials and Gen Zers are looking for out of leadership. And transparency is also misinterpreted of one of 2 things. They either misinterpret it as financial transparency, and people will say, well, I don't want to show how much money we're making and how much each person's salary is. It's not financial transparency your people crave. Nor is it Brene Brown, or in this case, Michael Jordan crying gif, where it's misinterpreted as vulnerability. Transparency is not vulnerability. Don't worry, you don't have to cry in front of your people. Transparency is context. It is context that your team craves. Why are you making the decisions that you're making? Why are you investing in the things that you're investing in? And if something goes wrong, explain what you learned from that experience versus trying to sugarcoat it, which is pretty much Xers and boomers. We've been brought up to you put on the brave face and you talk about how you're going to take the brunt of it. But you've got to give your team that data as to why you're making those decisions. Number 3, we've got to let culture thrive. And culture does not just come from leadership or 5 values that live on your website. It comes from your people. And I love this tweet that I found. We're returning to the office because our culture is so important, the culture. And it's just like this blank cubicle. And one of the best ways to actually create culture is with rewards and recognition. And I came across a company called Domo, which is a software company out in San Francisco. And it's a very sales-oriented culture. And as I was researching some of the best cultures out there, I discovered this big blue rooster that they give for the rewards and recognition. And so every single month, what happens at Domo is they will actually put the at-bat song of the number one salesperson. So when people first start at the company, they say, what do you want to play up over the loudspeakers if you're going up for your at-bat or a speech or whatever? Like it might be All I Do Is Win, or, We Are the Champions. And on that first day of every month, they blare that person's at-bat song. Blue sirens go off and they give away a 10-foot big blue rooster on wheels that sits next to that person's cubicle for the month. How many cash rewards do they give away? 0. How many options? 0. They give away a big blue rooster. So I will ask you all, what is your big blue rooster? What is that top-down rewards that you're giving? You also need peer-to-peer recognition. So you push down on your teams to actually recognize one another. The simplest way to do this is how I start my all hands meeting, which is I start off and I say, I'm going to give snaps to Meg for crushing it in that meeting last week. She won the client and came through with the win. Awesome. And then everyone else ends up giving snaps to one another. And so that's another easy way to create peer-to-peer recognition. And culture isn't installing beer kegs. It's having a team that wants to have beer together. Number 4, making purpose a priority. Purpose and profit go hand in hand. And statistically speaking, the younger you get in the millennial set and into Gen Z, the more of an expectation that what you do as an organization also has some sort of societal good associated to it. What are you doing to actually make the world better? There's more of an expectation that organizations will do more of that. And so nonprofits and some of those other pieces that were probably just more on the sidelines, we've got to make a priority again. And I take it to the next degree. I actually help my team define each one of their own individual purpose statements. And I talk about what that is that drives them, and then how it is that they can incorporate more of that into their day-to-day job or through some side hustles or hobbies. And number 5, we've got to allow passions to thrive. And the greatest difference that I found in this generational work that I've been doing is that older generations pretty much see passion and purpose as mutually exclusive. You go to work, and then you go to golf. You go to the golf course for those passions and hobbies. They're mutually exclusive. But the younger you get, the more of an expectation that passion, purpose, and profession all live in this happy ecosystem. And that's that place where you don't know when you're working. And one of the things that's happening out there, especially with the millennials and Gen Zers that are coming into the workforce, is that they have this expectation that's not being met. So it's imperative that we bring more of that into their day-to-day. And one of the things I encourage all of my employees to do is that, listen, your job's never going to be perfect. All right. That is a false understanding of what a job is. You go to work. And so if you want to scratch more of these passions, then pursue some of these side hustles or curate more hobbies that are in line with that. And so I actually support my employees as long as it's not in direct competition with what we do as an organization. I'll help you create some of these side hustles. And so here's a quick overview. What matters most: work flexibility, genuine connection, a positive work culture, purpose and profits working together, and a place where passions can thrive. And as we transition into this genuine connection, really the Millennial Whisperer and culture and some of that more inward looking genuine connection can also be applied outward. And that is the culmination of what is Save Your Asks. And I am a huge kiteboarder. Like, that is my thing. And I was in the middle of the Outer Banks celebrating my 40th birthday with 2 of my best friends here. We just kiteboarded 100 miles. And I had just told them about this guy I interviewed for my new book, Save Your Asks. And I told them there's this pro surfer named Raymana, and he was introduced to me as the greatest connector of billionaires in the world. And I was telling him all about Raymana. And it was about 20 minutes later, out in the middle of the pandemic, that I heard over someone's cell phone next to us, Raymana's voice. And I turned to them, I said, guys, I think that's that dude I just interviewed from Tahiti. They were like, yeah, right. So I yelled over and I said, excuse me, sir, is that Raymana you're talking to? And this guy in his younger 60s, he's probably like 60, 61, 62. he's got his board shorts on and he's on the FaceTime. He goes, yeah, it's Raymana. How do you know Raymana? And Raymana looks at me through this guy's cell phone on FaceTime. He goes, Chris, how do you know Charlie? I was like, Raymana, I don't know Charlie. Well, you just introduced me to Charlie. Nice to meet you, Charlie, from Tahiti. And when Raymana was first introduced to me, he was introduced to me by a guy named Jason Trotwine. And Jason said that Raymana and I have a bond that was established 6 minutes into our relationship. And it was when he was towing me in on the back of his jet ski into the most epic wave of my life. And now 9 years later, we have a connection and bond that's unbreakable. As you can see here, he's the guy in the jet ski that actually will flip people into these waves. And Jason suggested that I interview Raymana for the book. And I said, absolutely, have him call me, thinking, there's no way this guy's going to call me. And literally 24 hours later, I look down on my phone. I'm stuck in my house in the middle of the pandemic, and I see French Polynesia pop up on my caller ID, which I didn't even know was a thing. And I answer this FaceTime call, and he's like, brother man, what's going on? I was like, Raymana, dude, tell me about your day. Like, I am just so interested. Before we get into this whole Jason Trotwine bond that you have, I need to live vicariously through you because I'm stuck in this house, my house in Atlanta, and I'm kind of bored and just want to hear about your day. He goes, brother man, I just got off Sergey Brin's yacht, and I was teaching his wife how to surf. Wonderful lady, and actually a pretty good surfer. Now I'm here in my place in Tahiti, and I'm just hanging out. And now I'm talking to you. I was like, Raymana, you truly are like the greatest connector of billionaires in the world. Jason's totally right. Now, tell me about this bond you have with Jason, because he says that 6 minutes in, you reached over, you put your hand on his heart, and you said, I love you, brother. And it was actually in that moment that a bond was created for life. Tell me about that. He goes, yes. This is true, but don't tell Jason this. But I tell that to everyone when they're in the back of my jet ski. And I mean two things by it, Chris. I want you to take in this moment. I want you to actually forget about your big job and everything else. And I want you to take it in. 2, this is a gnarly wave and you might die. So I want the last thing you to hear from me is, I love you, brother. I was like, Raymana, you are one of the coolest guys I've ever met. And I can't wait to surf with you because you truly are creating genuine connection with all of the who's who. What if we actually had a little bit more of Raymana's in the way we approach networking and sales in our organizations? And so as we look at kind of coming out of the pandemic, how are we currently connecting with prospects and networking? Because I know we are under enormous pressure, right, to provide and to sell, but what are we doing? How are we doing it? And, a lot of us are doing it the same way, right? We get our prospect list, we get our list, and we start the outreach. We start emailing them, dear blank and blank, I'm reaching out to you to sell you this, that, or the other. And, now with technology, though, it's actually added another element where we can reach out to anyone, but we can also use this software to actually do some of the heavy lifting that used to be so reliant on that interpersonal piece. And what I'm suggesting is we go back a little bit more to the interpersonal piece. And the software stuff has actually made it a lot worse. And it's now I'm on the receiving end of all of these asks. In this case, Emmy Woods, right after I accept her LinkedIn request, she automates her asks. And within nanoseconds will send me an email saying, hey, I'm selling blank and blank. And what's great now is my response to her is that I would not automate your asks, Emmy. And here's a link to my new book. I think you could really benefit from it. Or what about just after 5 unanswered emails? And then you get them, well, now might be a bad time. Is there someone else in your organization that I can sell my thing to? Or even it's gotten so crazy with this connection of CRM that I was about to hop on a live interview with someone and I got a call on my phone from a cell phone I didn't recognize. I thought it was one of my daughter's schools. And I answer it And this guy goes, "Oh, Chris, I reached out to you on LinkedIn. I reached out to you on email, and I'm selling blank and blank." I was like, "Dude, I'm about to hop on a live interview, but the Audible for my book, Save Your Ass, just came out. I suggest you listen to it." And he just literally started guttural laughing in response. And he emails me 12 hours later. He's like, "Chris, I actually listened to some of your stuff. There's some things that I feel like I could learn from going in with this genuine connection first." And so what I am suggesting is, how can we make networking and sales a little bit more authentic, rewarding, and then ultimately more successful? And here are my 5 secrets to more genuine connection. And the first one is, you got to stand out from the crowd. And this can be done through storytelling. This can be done through, wearing yellow glasses or matching internal suits that actually have the cover of your book on it. Just stand out a little bit. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be an appearance. What are the stories that you're telling when you're sitting with that person across from you? How are you creating that connection? It's so imperative that we stand out from those around us. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to find that common passion point between you and the other person. And I will actually practice this especially in person when I'm going to these different things. It takes me about 40 seconds when I'm meeting someone in person for the first time to find that common connection. And I'll even watch Sports Center the night before, and I don't even like sports, but solely because I have ammunition. I'll be like, "Oh, the Braves in the 9th inning, how about they pulled that through? Oh yeah, man, I love the Braves." And it creates that first genuine kind of connection, or that first common passion point. And one of the best examples of this one, I was out at a big speech in Nike, and we called an Uber at like 4:30 in the morning. It was super cold, typical like November Oregon day. And I run and I get into the car and I slam it with my assistant with me. And the Uber driver turns back to me and he barks, "How dare you treat my brand new Camry with such disrespect? This thing's brand new." And my assistant whispers into my ear and says, "This is going to be a long ride to Nike." And I took a look around the Uber and I just whispered back to him. I said, "Watch this." And I looked in the Uber driver's rear view mirror and I saw a Trinidadian flag hanging from it. And I listened and I heard some steel drum music, and I chimed in. I said, "Excuse me, sir, is that Trinidadian steel drum music you're playing?" And his energy and whole composure totally changed. He goes, "How do you know about Trinidadian steel drum music? Like, what, really?" I go, "Yeah, I love Trinidadian steel drum music." And not only that, but I'm dying to get to this one beach right near the airport in Trinidad and Tobago. And it's supposed to be epic. And he goes, "So-and-so beach." And then for 45 minutes, he and I talked about Trinidad and his family and how he got to Oregon. And by the time we got to Nike, he had shared his contact information with me. He was like, "Come, I'd love for you to see my family down there." He invited me and my family to go visit him. And it's that which we need to be practicing in any sort of interaction. And curiosity is really that difference between connecting and networking. Networking is a tit for tat. It's very reciprocity driven. Whereas when we actually take the time to ask the questions, to find some of those things that also excite you as a human being, that's where the connections happens. And so whatever it is that you're selling, it's imperative that you come in and be that painkiller. And just like all the emails that I get on a daily basis that I don't respond to, so many of them fail to either do the research or to have those conversations to understand what my pain point is and how they can help solve that. And it's actually within that process of finding that common passion point that you uncover those things that can allow you to go in and say, "I sell this and I can solve this for you right now." Number 3, Shawshanking. Shawshanking is a verb. And Shawshanking was introduced to me in 2012 from a guy that I was signing one of the largest software deals as the buyer in my life. And I turned to him and I said, "Listen, I'm now in charge of all of our sales for my agency. And I met you 7 years ago in a closed Facebook group. I want to know how you did what you did. Like, now here we are and I'm signing this huge deal. How'd you do it?" He goes, "Chris, you really want to know?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I Shawshanked your ass." I go, Shawshank, what is that? He goes, just like in Shawshank Redemption, in order to get the library funded, Andy Dufresne wrote a letter a week for 2 years with no response until he finally got a check for $200. But he didn't stop there. He went on, and it was 10 years later that they had the nicest library in the prison system. And so, Chris, just like Andy Dufresne, I sent you a LinkedIn message. I would send you a text message. I would send you an email, not once going in for an ask. And I was able to actually create enough of a relationship that here we are. I was like, oh my gosh, I just got a call from a Fortune 50 company, and I'm going to take that same approach to them, because I was kind of rude in my response to them on LinkedIn because they're trying to hire me as one of their employees. And so I got this person's name who had reached out to me and number, and I called this woman and said, I want to come down there. I just want to help you. Because as you're trying to hire for this position, it's very hard to find someone that is actually qualified for it. And I went down there. She said, absolutely. And we ended up hitting it off. And we, hung out for an hour and a half. And she invited me back the next month, and then the next month, and then the next month. And it was 14 months later that we got our first contract with this company. And today, it's now our second largest client, and we have 120 employees on that account. I'm telling you, Shawshanking works, and you don't have to overthink it. And the simplest thing that we can all implement tactically is the second someone comes to mind, go ahead and reach out in that moment. And that is one of the things. It's not necessarily creating relationships that's difficult, it's sustaining them. So I encourage everyone, when someone comes to mind, go and reach out to them in the moment. 4, know where you live on that ask continuum. All right. The ask continuum, if asks come super easy to us, we might be an ask hole. If we never ask, a lot of times we'll let the ask pass us by. I'm a recovering ask hole who then went too far to the other side. I'll let the ask pass me by. And so we've got to understand where it is that we live and then start moving towards that sweet spot. We also need to be careful of the empty ask. And the empty ask is, we all do it. Hey, I'd love to, in any sort of social situation, I'd love to grab coffee with you or lunch if you're in town. Like, let's definitely get together. And then that person, when they're in town, calls you and they're like, I didn't really want to hang out with you. Like, why are you calling me? That's the empty ask. Or when you just say something with the intention of creating that connection, but no real intention to reciprocate on that. Number 5, this is one of the greatest things, especially for those people that tend to let the ask pass them by. Mask your ask in your dream. And it was actually utilizing this that I was able to interview a lot of these people featured in Save Your Asks. And I would end every single one of my conversations saying, I'm going to practice my favorite tactic with you. Are you ready? And in this case, it was Jason Trotwine, who built an empire around veterinary clinics. And he said, yeah, bring it. I said, well, it is my dream to create the handbook to help people better network and sell, and also live a more fulfilling life as they do this stuff. Who in your network do I have to talk to? And it was actually after that, he said, you got to talk to Raymana. And so you got to figure out what is, as you mask that ask in your dream, when you talk about your dreams, people will go above and beyond to provide that. And I truly do believe that in our lives, we should have more of a ruthless pursuit of passions in that. And looking at that old traditional way from the Millennial Whisperer of passion and profession being mutually exclusive, how can we actually bring a little bit more passions into our own jobs, that sweet spot? And I'll end with this story of a dentist that I was speaking with out in Deer Valley. And I was putting on this big dental summit, and we were skiing in between sessions. And I asked Bonner, what do you want? Like, tell me what you really want. He goes, dude, I'm making $1.3 million after my first year in dentistry. I'm 28 years old. I want $5 million. I said, Bonner, is that really what you want? He goes, yes. And it was about 7 runs and 7 questions of me asking that same thing every time going up the chairlift, that I said, Bonner, what do you want? And he goes, all right, Chris, I'll tell you what I want. All right. You want to know what I want? I want to do keynotes just like you, and don't make fun of me, but I want to be a high school football coach. And I go, boom, there it is, Bonner. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to get 3 birds with 1 stone. So in the next 6 months, we're going to actually create the keynote that you're going to present to this group about how dentistry is exactly like football. The difference between offense, defense, the group huddle. Not only that, we're going to bring football into your practice where you're doing your group huddle, you're going to put blackout on your eyes. You're going to give away engravable MVP trophies. We're actually going to bring football, your biggest passion, into your day-to-day business. And then at the end of the day, the second thing we're going to do, Bonner, is we're going to give you enough freedom so that you can actually coach your son in Pee Wee football and then all the way through to high school football. So delegation is going to be critical as you grow. And he's like, oh my gosh. So I encourage everyone here today, just do something. Find one of these tactics, whether it be through the Millennial Whisperer and connection inward with your team members or within Save Your Asks. Just do something differently. Go ahead and save your asks, and please do not be an asshole. And with that, we will transition into the awards.
Okay, great, Chris. Thank you so much. My glasses aren't as trademark as yours, but I feel like I got to wear them. So let's get rid of the LAE. I know I've learned a lot, so thank you so much for that. If you have questions for Chris, please put those in the Q&A section and we'll go over those at the end of the program. So now, drum roll, please. Here are our 2022 semifinalists and recipients of our 2022 Northeast Indiana Manufacturing Awards. Congratulations to our 2022 Salute to Industry Northeast Indiana Manufacturing Awards winners. We're going to start with our first semifinalist for Northeast Indiana Best Manufacturing. Congratulations to our 2022 Salute to Industry Northeast Indiana Manufacturing Awards winners. We're going to start with our first semifinalist for Northeast Indiana Best Manufacturing Workplace.
This award category is presented by Aegis. Aegis makes precision parts to customer specifications and drawings. They are experienced in manufacturing hundreds of different types of parts. Advantages of partnering with Aegis include a 60-year-long track record of quick turnaround, professional service, and proven quality.
And the recipient is Chromosource. Alexander Persley founded Chromosource in 1996, making sure customers always come first. In 1998, Chromosource began offering color systems production and management, which extended the company's product offering. Then in 2006, it developed fulfillment solutions to better control customer inventory and logistics. Today, Chromosource continues to produce and deliver color sampling resources for retail and commercial paint manufacturers, both nationally and internationally. Congratulations. And the recipient for Northeast Indiana Best Manufacturing Workplace is Murray Equipment, Inc. Family is so important to Murray Equipment CEO, president, and owner Dan Murray that he considers people who work for him as adopted family members. Murray Equipment, located at 2515 Charleston Place in Fort Wayne, opened in 1950 as a service station pump company. Dan Murray is now the third generation operating the business, and he feels like he's worked there his whole life. The company does all its system engineering here in Fort Wayne, and as Dan Murray says, our world revolves around pumps, meters, and valves. The company owned the rights to the Tokheim Company's piston flow meters, so the company's Total Control Systems was created in 1995. And as Dan Murray says, they're a global manufacturer for these flow meters. According to Murray, the manufacturing industry is growing exponentially, and so is his company. Congratulations to Murray Equipment, Inc. And now we're going to go for the green.
This award category is sponsored by Financial Partners Federal Credit Union. Financial Partners is a full-service financial cooperative. It is the mission of Financial Partners to provide quality financial services and become every member's primary financial institution while enhancing their financial well-being.
The 2022 Northeast Indiana Manufacturing Award for Green Manufacturer of the Year. Our first semifinalist is Quick Lock. You know those little plastic tabs that help keep your bread bags closed? Yeah, those get made here. Quick Lock protects product freshness and offers an easy way to reuse the bag without spillage. While plastic refuse has become a point of emphasis in recent years due to its environmental impact, Quick Lock uses a 100% natural, renewably sourced plant-based resin that requires less fuel to manufacture. The company's new plastic, NUPLASTIQ, helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions and overall material use. The company is headquartered in Washington State, with locations overseas in Europe, Asia, and Australia. But outside of its Washington headquarters, the company's only other U.S. facility is located right here in Northeast Indiana, in New Haven. Congratulations to Quick Lock. Our second semifinalist is Bella Innovative Modern Chemistry. Bella IMC is a division of Chadwick Industries, founded in 1997. Chadwick began as a custom furniture firm before transitioning into commercial cabinetry in 2004. Bella uses an innovative lock dowel assembly system that allows for easy and quick assembly and disassembly of cabinets without the need for glue or additional metal fastening components, helping to reduce the material footprint needed for its upscale products. The company operates out of its facility on Main Street in Huntertown. Congratulations to Bella. And now, our 2022 Northeast Indiana Green Manufacturer of the Year goes to Brightmark. When it comes to recycling, Brightmark is working to rid the waste stream of plastic globally and at the same time create usable products. Brightmark, which will be fully operational in Ashley this year, converts waste plastic to fuel and waxes, and even creates new feedstock for use in new manufacturing of plastic goods. Just last month, the company announced it was entering into an agreement with a government entity in Australia to start one of its waste-to-energy plants down under. Last year, on America Recycles Day, Brightmark announced that its workforce had collected more than 10,000 pounds of recyclable plastic to go through the company's process. When fully operational, Brightmark's Ashley Plastics Renewal Facility will divert 100,000 tons of plastic waste each year from landfills and incinerators and convert it into 18 million gallons of ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel and naphtha blend stocks and 6 million gallons of wax. The company has been in operation in Ashley since breaking ground in 2019. Congratulations, Brightmark, for being our Green Manufacturer of the Year. Our next category is Workplace Diversity.
This award category is sponsored by FlexiPark. FlexiPark works with businesses in your community to make parking friendlier. Rather than closing their parking lots after hours, area businesses can leverage the power of FlexiPark to open those valuable parking spaces to anyone who needs them simply by switching their no parking signs to FlexiPark signs. It's a win for FlexiPark customers and for businesses too.
When Rachel Vinson decided to change jobs, she thought about the places where she'd previously worked. PhD stood out. There was nothing there that I didn't like, said Vincent, who returned in September as marketing manager, research and communications. Management really cares about the people and shows that with employee-centric policies that allow for a work-life balance, and many employees end up staying for years, she said. Fort Wayne-based PhD started in 1957 when its founders built the actuator that put the company on the map. Since then, PhD has grown to become a world-class industrial automation manufacturer of pneumatic, electric, and hydraulic actuators. The company provides equipment serving automotive, food and beverage, glass, and medical industries, among many others. And while the company still has a hybrid work environment thanks to COVID-19, they have marketing, production development, and engineers and others all working together to create the products that have made them a semifinalist in the workplace diversity category. Congratulations to PhD. Our second recipient in the workplace diversity category is Miller Poultry. For over 40 years, the Miller family has been raising all-natural, high-quality, and the best-tasting chicken for your family's table. Starting out in 1974, the company decided to switch from turkeys to raising chicken, and Miller Poultry's chicks are now hatched at its family-owned hatchery and placed within the community of more than 180 local farm families. The company's Orland processing plant is one of Northeast Indiana's largest employers and attracts a diverse workforce from across the region who get the chickens cut, packaged, and ready for delivery to tables across the U.S. Congratulations to Miller Poultry. And the recipient of the 2022 Northeast Indiana Manufacturing Award in Workplace Diversity is ADEC. The four letters of ADEC's name spell out its mission to advocate for and serve people with developmental and intellectual disabilities. A life of their own, D for dignity, E for employment, and C for community. ADEC operates 6 day service locations across Elkhart and St. Joseph counties. The 501c3 charitable organization serves more than 1,000 individuals each year through more than a dozen programs, ranging from music therapy for children to supervised group living for adults. Whether earning a paycheck at ADEC Industries or working with an employment consultant to find a job in the community, the people they serve get to explore all options and find the best fit for them. And that's what makes them the recipient of this year's Workplace Diversity Award. Congratulations to ADEC. Our next award is for Northeast Indiana Small Manufacturer.
This award category is sponsored by KPC Media. With 11 newspapers and websites reaching 134,000 daily readers across 16 counties, KPC Media is proud to serve Northeast Indiana and Western Ohio.
Our first semifinalist is Dot America Medical Implant Solutions. When it comes to medical devices meant to stay inside the human body, part of the equation is making sure the materials hold up. And that's where Dot America comes in. German-based Dot got its start in 1992, making its first investment in medical-grade coating equipment. With service preparations and coatings as the core business, DOT serves as a one-stop resource and as a strategic partner for medical and dental industries. Product offering include PVD coatings, titanium plasma spray, titanium anodizing, microblasting, passivation, electropolishing, and laser marking. DOT opened its first U.S.-based facility in Columbia City in 2015. While most of the company's hundreds of employees remained staffed overseas in Germany, the Columbia City location has grown into a small but important part of the company's global manufacturing efforts. Congratulations, DOT America. Our next semifinalist is Indiana Millwright Services. When it comes to welding and fabrication, Indiana Millwright Services has been on the job for decades. Indiana Millwright Services offers on-site repair and a well-equipped shop in the Fort Wayne area, where your equipment and fabrication needs can be met in a professional manner. IMS strives to offer the highest quality of workmanship in the industry, with the knowledge and experience to handle many jobs, large and small. Indiana Millwright Services is a Fort Wayne area company that is backed by 40 years of experience in welding, fabrication, and repair trades. IMS services multiple industries across Northeast Indiana, including clients in the steel industry, agriculture, construction, mining, transportation, and manufacturing. Congratulations, Indiana Millwright Services. And now the 2022 Northeast Indiana Manufacturing Award in the Small Manufacturer category goes to Camera Dynamics, Inc. KDI is tucked away on a side street in northwest Kendallville, quietly fabricating metal into high-quality specialty products that are shipped all over the United States. CEO Clint Kammerer leads the company, which provides engineering design and production for specialty products such as stairs, platforms, walkways, mezzanines, tables, racks, and shelving. The team of 42 employees also does custom welding orders. Company spokesperson Allison Peterson said the company is quickly growing thanks to word-of-mouth referrals and photos on the company's year-old Instagram account. Sales grew 70% from 2021 to the first quarter of 2022. The company experienced fewer effects from the pandemic than some other sectors, Peterson said, but used the time to review management and operations for efficiency. Camera Dynamics, Inc. was formed in 2015, but has history that reaches back 3 generations. Clint Kammerer's grandfather founded the company in 1941, which was then led by his father before the company was passed to Clint and his brother Kelly. The brothers then split operations into 2 companies, each remaining in Kendallville. Peterson said KDI is looking for similar sales growth in the future, with the possibility of adding more robotic equipment. A second building was added to the property 2 years ago, and the company is planning to double its size with an addition in 2023. Congratulations to KDI as our Northeast Indiana Small Manufacturer of the Year.
We would like to take a moment to congratulate our Corporate Citizen of the Year, Continental Diamond Tool. CDT was nominated by New Haven Chamber of Commerce and selected for this honor by the Regional Chamber of Northeast Indiana. CDT went from a very humble beginning through multiple expansions at their original site to acquiring a sizable industrial area for their expansion needs. The property has become the fastest growing light industrial site in eastern Allen County. CDT took the opportunity to construct a building for themselves and their employees, creating one of the most state-of-the-art, environmentally focused, and comfortable work environments for their employees and visitors. In 2019, CDT looked at the industrial building inventory in our area and decided to construct 2 spec buildings with a combined approximate 250,000 square feet, making it possible for new companies to call New Haven home. CDT employs 160 plus people with outstanding pay, benefits, and perks, not to mention some of the cleanest and most affordable workspaces. CDT invests in their employees and the future of the company and the jobs they support. CDT is even on Mars. The custom grinding wheels the rovers used to explore beneath the planet's surface were made at CDT. CDT is more than an excellent corporation that's expanding by leaps and bounds. They are the epitome of corporate community citizens. Their personal and corporate philanthropy is unrivaled here in New Haven and Eastern Allen County. Giving to much more than the typical sports team sponsorships, the Vigiano family goes beyond, with significant contributions to schools, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Lymphoma Society, our local first responders, and more. Congratulations, CDT.
Our next award is for Internationally Owned Manufacturer of the Year.
This award category is presented by New Way Construction. Since 1975, New Way Construction has completed over 1,500 industrial and commercial projects throughout northern Indiana and southern Michigan. New Way Construction has the knowledge and experience to act as a single source of responsibility for every phase of your project.
Our semifinalist is Carlex. The origins of Carlex can be traced back to 1936, when Central Glass Company was established in Japan. In 1958, the company launched the glass business in Japan, followed by the acquisition of a North American architectural glass facility in Seattle in 1974, and then opening its first major automotive glass facility in Tennessee in 1991 in partnership with Ford Motor Company. Since being established, Carlex is focused on one thing: a commitment to excellence in providing the best automotive glass products to its global customers. This has been a springboard for growth as Carlex acquired 100% of the equity of the Tennessee facility in 1995, followed by the 2011 purchase of Ford's former Nashville, Tennessee float glass fabrication operations and the aftermarket business, which doubled its North American footprint. Carlex then again doubled its size in 2014 by acquiring 3 additional manufacturing sites, including Northeast Indiana plants in Auburn and Ligonier and a Luxembourg facility. Now the 10 automotive glass locations across the U.S., Europe, and Asia, together with its parent company, Central Glass, Carlex continues to provide best-in-class glazing products that make the driving experience safer, more enjoyable, and more energy efficient. Not only for customers, but for everyone, including those who make the company's glass products. Congratulations, Carlex. And now for our 2022 Northeast Indiana Manufacturing Award winner in the category of Internationally Owned Manufacturer of the Year, Peg Perigo. Peg Perigo, 3625 Independence Drive in Fort Wayne, is proud to be a brand internationally recognized for quality, safety, functionality, and design, says Nicholas Perigo, Peg Perigo president. The family-owned business began in 1949 in Italy, where Nick's grandfather, Giuseppe Perigo, needed a stroller for his young son. At that time, strollers were scarce. The elder Perigo used his technical knowledge and his metalworking skills to create the first Peg Perigo stroller. Today, the company manufactures baby strollers, high chairs, car seats, and ride-on toys for children. The Italian-based company has been in Fort Wayne since 1968. Nicholas Perigo said of winning the award, "It would mean that all the challenges to keep production in USA and Italy were worth it. We are proud to be located in Fort Wayne and that our products are still made in Fort Wayne and Italy." Creating new products for the youngest members of society inspire new thoughts that aim to meet customer demands and expectations. Peg Perigo is a product-driven company, and all our products are designed internally, so we are always working on new products, Nicholas Perigo said. Our engineering and research and development team work nonstop on new ideas. Sometimes some of them remain prototypes. It takes a lot of work to create new products that are safe, reliable, and appealing for the customer. Currently, we have a new car seat and a new stroller that will be launching in North America in the next 6 months. Peg Perigo products are easy to find at many major retailers, including Target, Amazon, and Walmart. In addition, it also has 2 big company sales a year here in Fort Wayne. Perigo has 1,300 employees worldwide that make the company successful, according to Nicholas Perigo. Besides having the skills that are specific to a particular job, there is one other secret to running a thriving company. We believe that being passionate about your job and feeling like you are contributing is key, Nicholas Perigo said. Seeing the product you worked on sold on major websites and in stores in over 100 countries is a pride factor. Congratulations to Peg Perigo. Our next category is Indiana-owned Manufacturer of the Year.
This award category is sponsored by Explore Commercial Real Estate. Explore is a full-service commercial real estate brokerage that services Greater Fort Wayne and Northeast Indiana. With over 35 years of combined experience, Explore has the knowledge and resources needed to create customized solutions for your business.
Our first semifinalist, Hudson Aquatic Systems. Hudson Aquatic Systems' origin dates back to the polio epidemic of the 1920s, when it started manufacturing stainless steel swimming pools for polio victims. The company expanded to manufacturing stainless steel whirlpool tanks and burn tanks for use in therapy. The modern Hudson Aquatic started to take shape in 1997-98, when the first AquaPause underwater treadmill system for canines was designed. Then in early 2000, the AquaPacer equine underwater treadmill was developed and sold. The company purchased EESI Engineering based in Angola, where the AquaPause, AquaPools, and AquaGator were manufactured. In 2010, the aquatic division of Fairno, Washington was acquired by the Ellis Company. The company was rebranded as Hudson Aquatic Systems, LLC. Now Hudson operates out of a 40,000 square foot facility in Angola and manufactures a wide range of aquatic therapy equipment for both humans and animals. Hudson Aquatic products can be found globally in fitness centers, hospitals, veterinary colleges, physical therapy offices, hospitals, training centers, and more, as its water-based exercise equipment has found a niche in treatment and fitness markets across the globe. Congratulations to Hudson. And our second semifinalist is Vero Bradley. No stranger to Northeast Indiana, Vero Bradley is entering its 40th year in business after the company spawned out of a desire for more fashionable travel gear and bags in a market that was bland and boring. Founders Barbara Bradley Beekard and Patricia Miller started designing and creating their first colorful iconic bags in a basement in 1982. It wasn't long before the bags became a hit, and the company became a global designer brand, offering bags of all shapes and sizes, from purses to travel luggage and more. Headquartered in Roanoke, the company's annual outlet sale is a huge retail draw for Northeast Indiana's fashion community, as the company continues to produce and distribute its products out of our corner of the state. Beyond its business activities, the Vero Bradley Foundation for Breast Cancer has become a huge nonprofit organization, raising money and supporting research into new and more effective treatments for the most rare and difficult types of breast cancer. Congratulations, Vero Bradley. And now, our 2022 Indiana-owned Manufacturer of the Year is Adventure Homes. "13 years ago, starting a new plant was a gamble. In March of 2009, Fleetwood Homes had filed for bankruptcy protection and began selling off parts of its giant housing recreational vehicle empire. A bid by another group to purchase 7 of the Fleetwood sites didn't include this Garrett location. That's when then plant manager Wally Comer went to the Garrett State Bank president to find a way to keep the doors open. He was introduced to Walt Fuller, who would become one of the owners of Adventure Homes in Garrett's Industrial Park on State Road 8, along with fellow businessman Jerry Henry. In August of 2009, all 80 former Fleetwood Home employees were rehired with Adventure Homes, the new manufactured housing plant. At the time, Fuller said a potential loss of 80 local jobs, should the plant not reopen, was unacceptable. Since 2009, the manufacturing housing company has increased its workforce to 240 full-time employees in production, clerical, and administrative positions. Of those original employees, dozens are still on the job, including 7 total families. Sales have skyrocketed from $18 million to $70 million, according to Comer, but delivering the homes has had its difficulties. The company produces 2,100 homes annually, each taking 3 to 4 days from floor status to completion. It's been difficult to keep up with supplies, securing drywall and even appliances, but it's also been difficult to find truckers to pull the houses down the road once they're completed. Finding workers has also been a frustration, even while offering a living wage. Pay has increased from the $25,000 once paid at Fleetwood to the $50,000 to $55,000 line workers currently earn, plus insurance and other benefits. The company recently added a $2 hitch bonus for all employees, and each received a $500 Christmas bonus last year. Comer continues to praise the quality of the product produced in Garrett. Success at the plant is due to his team of experienced workers. Comer said the future looked bright for the industry when it opened in 2009, and is even brighter looking forward. Congratulations, Adventure Homes. And now, for our big award, Northeast Indiana Manufacturer of the Year.
This award category is sponsored by Analytics. Analytics is a data platform company that delivers insights as a service to answer your most important IT and business questions. Analytics provides an end-to-end solution and access to technical experts so that you can concentrate on achieving your business outcomes.
Our first semifinalist, Forest River. In 1996, Forest River's founder had a vision. He foresaw an RV company dedicated to helping people experience the joy of the outdoors by building better recreational vehicles. Today, Forest River has grown to become one of the largest RV manufacturers in North America, producing Class A and C motorhomes, travel trailers, fifth-wheelers, toy haulers, camping trailers, and destination trailers. Forest River RV is a division of Forest River Inc., a Berkshire Hathaway company, which produces recreational vehicles, pontoons, park models, buses, cargo trailers, and commercial trucks. The diversity of Forest River Inc. enables the company to approach the RV industry with a unique perspective, incorporating lessons learned in each one of its divisions. Northeast Indiana has a robust RV manufacturing base, and Forest River has been one that's growing its presence in the region. Within the past year, the company has announced major expansions planned for facilities in both Butler and Ligonier, adding multi-million-dollar investments into the community and creating hundreds of new jobs. RV industry saw a huge boost during the COVID-19 pandemic as the air travel and hotel industries were put on hold and people instead turned toward closer-to-home vacation options. RVs offered the chance to still get out and explore the nation in a safe way during the pandemic. So manufacturers have seen some of their busiest months ever. over the past 2 years, filling orders that just keep coming. Forest River has been no exception to that RV industry boom and continues to be a major manufacturer supporting livelihoods across Northeast Indiana. Congratulations, Forest River. And our second semifinalist, Hendrickson. Hendrickson got its start more than 100 years ago when riding in an automobile was quicker than a buggy, but a bumpy experience. Ever since, the company has been creating and manufacturing suspensions to make the experience of travel smoother. In 1913, inventor and businessman Magnus Hendrickson founded the Hendrickson Motor Truck Company. This small Chicago-based manufacturing company built trucks, often equipped with cranes, which were used to haul stone and other building materials. In 1926, Hendrickson introduced the first tandem truck suspension, which mounted the axles on each end of an equalizing beam. This unique walking beam design distributed the truck's load evenly between the two rear axles, which improved traction, which greatly reduced the effects of bumps and potholes in the road. The walking beam soon gained widespread acceptance among the industry's new 6x4 six-wheeler trucks, which allowed more payload. In 1978, the Bowler Company, whose holdings included manufacturers of leaf springs and metal bumpers, purchased Hendrickson. In the years that followed, Hendrickson would expand into or acquire additional businesses in related areas. Trailer suspension system, auxiliary axle systems, springs, metal bumpers, and other heavy-duty components. Hendrickson sold the truck manufacturing operation and nowadays focuses solely on suspension systems and related components. Hendrickson is a global company with facility on 5 continents and locally has 2 plants in Kendallville. Hendrickson has been a staple manufacturer in Kendallville for years and has continued to bulge at the seams and grow its footprints in the city, with the firm taking on another expansion project in 2021. Congratulations, Hendrickson. And now, we're pleased to announce our 2022 Northeast Indiana Manufacturer of the Year, Steel Dynamics, Inc. Now in its 30th year, SDI has grown from its first steel mill near Butler to rank as the nation's 4th largest producer of steel products. Based in Fort Wayne, SDI now employs 10,000 people in several U.S. states and Mexico. It recently announced plans to hire 200 more employees in Northeast Indiana. The steel company has won dozens of awards, including 3 consecutive years on Forbes' list of the world's most admired companies. In 2021, SDI set new records, achieving net sales of $18.4 billion and net income of $3.2 billion by shipping 11.2 million tons of steel. Gifts by SDI, its employees, and its foundation have made an enormous impact on educational institutions and charities in Northeast Indiana. From last year's record profits, the company contributed $10 million to its charitable foundation. In Northeast Indiana, SDI operates facilities in Butler, Fort Wayne, New Haven, and Columbia City, along with other Indiana plants in Pittsburgh and Lafayette. Steel Dynamics is one of only 10 Fortune 500 companies headquartered in the Hoosier State. It also operates steel mills in Mississippi, Virginia, and West Virginia, with a new steel mill in Texas on the brink of beginning production. Last spring, the Steel Dynamics Foundation, Inc. pledged $1.5 million toward Trine University's engineering facility expansion. The 40,000 square foot addition will be named the Steel Dynamics, Inc. Center for Engineering and Computing. In Fort Wayne, SDI's success contributed to the founding of the Keith Bussey School of Business and Entrepreneurial Leadership at the University of St. Francis, the Keith E. Bussey Technology Center at Ivy Tech Community College Northeast, and the Keith Bussey Steel Dynamics Alumni Center at Purdue Fort Wayne, all named for SDI's first chairman and CEO. SDI and its employees annually make the largest contribution to the United Way of DeKalb County to support its charities. Over the past year, they have donated an average of more than $386,000 per year, approximately 55% of the county-wide totals. Production at the Butler Mill began in 1996, and the company became publicly traded with a listing on the NASDAQ exchange. SDI's new Millennium Building Systems plant near Butler began operation in 2002, with its Columbia City steel mill also opening that year. SDI acquired OmniSource, a Fort Wayne-based metal recycler, in 2007. The company's soon-to-open mill at Sinton, Texas, will boost its production capacity by 25% and bring the potential to serve customers in the Southwest U.S. and Mexico. In addition to its recognition as one of the world's most admired companies, Forbes also honored SDI as one of the world's best employers in 2021. Other 2021 awards for SDI include Steel Producer of the Year by Fast Markets, All-American Executive Team Most Honored Company by Institutional Investors, and one of the 100 Best ESG Companies by Investors Business Daily. Congratulations, Steel Dynamics, Inc. You are our 2022 Manufacturer of the Year. Thank you, and congratulations to all of our winners and semifinalists.
Okay, congratulations again to everyone. I don't see any questions there for Chris. Chris, people can get a copy of your book on Amazon, and you have a website where people can look at you or contact you for booking or to get copies of your books.
Yep, christuff.me. And anyone can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer any questions or be a resource for all of you.
Great. Thank you so much. I know I learned a lot today. We have multi-generations here, so I really understand what you were saying. So I'm going to take some of that advice. So if anybody there would like to hear again about our honorees and more the advice that Chris Tuff gave to us, we'll have this video on KPC's event website, kpceventbuzz.com. That's kpceventbuzz.com. You'll find all our events, including Business Weekly's monthly webinars there. And don't forget about my interview with SDI's, one of the co-founders, the current CEO, Mark Millett. That'll be on our website later next week. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today, for Chris, for Bill Kanya, and from all of us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a good day.